Picture this. King Von's sister, voice shaking, tears streaming, saying the words no one expected. I warned him about Lil Durk. The internet stopped. Screens froze. Comment sections exploded like they'd been waiting for this bomb to drop. And it's not just what she said, it's the way she said it. That mix of heartbreak and I told you so that hits you in the gut. What did she know? How long had she known it? And why, if the warning was that serious, did nothing change? If you were in her position, seeing the red flags, knowing the danger, feeling the clock ticking, would you keep quiet to protect him, or risk everything to save him? The internet couldn't believe it. And you won't either. Bro said too much, and they got him, one fan tweeted, and it went viral in minutes. Let's break it all down, and trust me, it gets uglier. Before the tears, before the viral clips, before the internet went into full meltdown mode, there was a sister who says she saw it coming. Kayla B., King Von's sister, isn't new to the spotlight, or to controversy. She's been in the mix for years, defending her brother, clapping back at trolls, and making it clear she's not afraid of anyone. But this was different. In the days leading up to her now infamous statement, insiders say Kayla had been unusually quiet on social media. No random lives, no subtweets, no messy clapbacks. And if you followed her, you know that's not her style. Something was brewing, and according to one alleged DM from an industry friend, it wasn't just grief talking. She's been holding something back. Says she's got proof. Says she warned him about Durk before everything went down. But let's rewind to understand why this warning matters. The relationship between Von and Lil Durk was complicated from the jump. Publicly, they were brothers in arms, riding for each other, showing up on tracks, pulling up at shows together. But behind the smiles and Instagram stories, there were whispers. Whispers about money, about loyalty, about moves being made in backrooms where the music was just the cover story. Some say the first red flag came months before Von's death. A business deal that allegedly went sour. A chunk of money that went missing. And though no one would say it on record, the rumor was that Durk knew more than he let on. According to another supposed leak, this one a screenshot of a group chat later deleted, Kayla allegedly sent a message to Von that read, "Just watch who you're smiling with. Snakes don't hiss anymore, they call you bro." Now, was it actually her? Or a fake meant to stir the pot? That's the problem with these kinds of leaks. The truth is always buried under 10 layers of noise. But if it was real, it makes what came next even harder to ignore. In the weeks before the fatal night, Kayla says she confronted Von privately. Friends say she'd noticed him getting pulled into circles that didn't feel right. People showing up at meetings who didn't belong there. Conversations ending the second she walked into the room. And one name kept coming up in those conversations. Durk. She told him, something's off. I can feel it. But Von was loyal, one anonymous friend claims. He didn't want to believe someone that close could be playing him. The night Von died was chaos, gunfire, panic, and headlines that hit before the blood was even dry. But for Kayla, it wasn't just grief. It was that gut punch of thinking I said something, and it didn't matter. She didn't speak publicly about it right away. But behind the scenes, she was talking, to friends, to sources, maybe even to people who didn't want this story told. And if you believe the alleged messages floating around, she wasn't mincing words. One supposed DM, sent to a verified account, read, "I warned him about Durk. I told him things I heard, things I saw. He said I was trippin'. Now look." Of course, Durk's camp denies all of it. They say this is just another attempt to drag his name into something he had nothing to do with. But here's the thing, once a story like this catches fire, denial doesn't put it out. It only adds more fuel. Fan pages started pulling old interviews, dissecting body language, pointing out moments when Durk looked too comfortable talking about Von's death. TikToks with millions of views slowed down clips, adding captions like "watch his eyes here," or "listen to the way he says this." And then came the fake receipts, or maybe real ones, depending on who you ask. A voice note, supposedly from Kayla, saying, "He wasn't the same after that meeting. I don't know what was said, but I know who was there. And I know one of them wasn't supposed to be." The meeting she refers to has never been confirmed. But online detectives were quick to suggest it happened just days before Von was killed. And if that's true, then the question becomes, what was discussed? And why was Durk's name allegedly on the guest list? The longer Kayla stayed quiet publicly, the louder the speculation got. People assumed silence meant fear, that she was holding back because saying too much could put her in danger. Others said she was waiting for the right time, for the right platform, to drop everything she knew. When she finally spoke, it wasn't a press conference or a carefully crafted Instagram note. It was raw, emotional, unfiltered. The kind of thing you say when you've been carrying something heavy for too long. And while she didn't lay out the receipts in that moment, the words I warned him about Lil Durk were enough to send the internet into overdrive. Some saw it as a grieving sister venting. Others saw it as confirmation of the whispers they'd been hearing for years. And the rest? They just wanted more. What made it even messier was the timing. This wasn't months after the dust settled. This was while tensions were still high, while Durk was still fighting his own legal battles, while the streets were still buzzing with talk of retaliation and revenge. And that's where the real tension starts, because if Kayla's warning was real, and if Vaughn ignored it out of loyalty, what does that say about the world he was moving in? One industry insider, whose identity we couldn't verify, claims that Vaughn told a friend, "If he wanted me gone, he'd have done it already." It's a chilling statement now, knowing how things ended. And as more sources came forward, the picture only got murkier. Some said Durk had nothing to gain from Vaughn's death. Others whispered about jealousy, about power struggles, about moves in the music business that had nothing to do with the charts and everything to do with control. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain: Kayla's words have reignited a fire that never really went out. The day after Kayla B's statement, the blogs were already on fire. Screenshots of her words were everywhere, reposted, memed, and dissected like they were evidence in a trial the whole internet was part of. Hashtags like #VaughnKnew and #DurkWarning started trending, not just in Chicago, but worldwide. And then, like pouring gasoline on an open flame, a new set of leaks appeared. These weren't vague tweets or blurry photos. They were alleged messages between Vaughn and one of his closest friends, sent weeks before his death. One read, "She's trippin'. That's still my bro, but yeah, something's been feeling off." Another, "If anything happens, it's from inside, not outside." Whether real or fake, those messages shook the fanbase. Because if they were legit, it meant Vaughn had already started to suspect that the danger wasn't coming from rivals. It was coming from people in his own circle. That's when an underground blog claimed to have footage from a private dinner in Atlanta, a dinner allegedly attended by Durk, two known industry middlemen, and a promoter with a long history of shady deals. The blog teased the video without showing faces, just audio. But the voices? Let's just say the internet decided for itself who was speaking. One clip had a man saying, "Once it's handled, the rest is easy. He won't even see it coming." Another responded with laughter, followed by, "You just make sure it looks like it ain't us." Now, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to see why people connected the dots. And in true internet fashion, no one waited for proof, they just ran with it. Meanwhile, Durk's camp stayed silent. No denials, no clarifications, nothing. Which, in this game, can be just as loud as a statement. Then came the court rumors. Multiple outlets reported that during a separate legal proceeding, an unnamed witness had testified about a falling out between Vaughn and Durk just weeks before the shooting. This alleged witness claimed Vaughn had confronted Durk about money that wasn't adding up, and a move that went down without his approval. And here's where the sarcasm writes itself. Because nothing screams loyalty like secret meetings and unexplained money trails, right? The fan reactions split into camps again. Some were convinced this was all fabricated to smear Durk's name. Others believed it was the missing piece to a puzzle they'd been putting together since day one. And then there were those who didn't care about the details. They just wanted the beef, the drama, the chaos. Fake news reports started popping up too, like one claiming a confidential informant had given the police a list of names tied to Vaughn's death, with Durk at the top. The story was never confirmed, but the headline alone racked up millions of views. On social media, supposed insiders began dropping cryptic posts. "All that glitters ain't gold. Remember that. Some of y'all would cry if you knew what your favorites really be on." And right when the noise seemed like it couldn't get any louder, someone leaked an alleged voice memo, supposedly Kayla's, where she says, "I ain't scared of him. I just know how far he'll go. Vaughn ain't believe me, but he knew deep down." If the voice is hers, it's a direct hit. If it's not, It's still exactly the kind of thing that keeps the rumor mill spinning. Blogs started reposting old photos of Vaughn and Durk, smiling, hugging, performing together, and captioning them with lines like brothers or enemies? And was it all an act? Even other rappers began to chime in. Some posted vague tweets about snakes in the industry. Others dropped bars in their songs that fans immediately linked to the situation. One line from an unreleased track leaked online. "Better watch the ones who ride shotgun, they aiming at you too." The internet went into full detective mode. People were comparing timelines, matching outfits from different videos to figure out when certain private meetings happened, even claiming that body language between Vaughn and Durk had changed in their last few public appearances together. And then came the alleged financial receipts, screenshots of massive wire transfers between accounts linked to Durk and consultants no one could identify. The amounts were huge, the descriptions vague. Phrases like services rendered and special event fee that tell you nothing but make you think everything. The speculation reached a boiling point when an anonymous source told a mid-tier podcast, "Y'all think it's about rap? This is about business. Big business. Vaughn wasn't just an artist, he was an asset. And when an asset becomes a liability, decisions get made." The clip went viral, not because it was proven, but because it sounded exactly like the kind of cold logic people imagine runs the industry behind closed doors. Through all of this, Kayla stayed mostly silent. She'd post a random photo, share a memory of her brother, then vanish again. Every time she disappeared, people assumed it was because she was under pressure to keep quiet. But just when the story seemed ready to settle into the background noise of rap gossip, a new name entered the conversation. Someone no one expected. Someone whose connection to Vaughn and Durk was almost invisible until now. And that's where the game changed. Because this wasn't just about a sister's warning anymore. This was about a web of relationships, money, and power that stretched way beyond Chicago. But just when we thought it was over, another name came up. When that new name hit the conversation, the reaction was instant. It wasn't a street rival, it wasn't an obvious enemy. It was a figure with a spotless public image. Someone who'd quietly moved in the same circles as Vaughn and Durk for years without ever making headlines. The kind of person you'd never think to connect to a murder plot, until now. The leak came from an anonymous industry accountant, claiming that this individual's business ventures were financially intertwined with both rappers, and that Vaughn had recently pulled out of a major deal at the last second. According to the leak, the fallout wasn't just financial. It was personal. This changed the tone completely. Suddenly, it wasn't just about whether Durk was guilty, it was about whether Durk was protecting someone else entirely. Some fans ran with the theory that Kayla B's warning had less to do with Durk himself, and more to do with the dangerous alliances he kept. Meanwhile, Durk's demeanor behind bars was only fueling speculation. Reports surfaced that he wasn't living like a man counting his last days. Private visits, special privileges, and a steady stream of influential visitors who, according to insiders, weren't there for emotional support. One source claimed, "He's still in play. This is chess, not checkers. They're making moves while everyone's busy debating hashtags." Then came the alleged prison phone leak. In the recording, a voice that sounded eerily like Durk's was heard saying, "If they think I'm going out alone, they're crazy. Everybody eats, everybody bleeds." The authenticity was never confirmed, but the line became an instant meme. As the appeal process moved forward, strange things began happening. A key witness suddenly refused to cooperate. A piece of digital evidence was misplaced. And then there was the sudden resignation of a mid-level investigator tied to the case. The official reason? Personal matters. The street translation? Pressure. For Kayla, the aftermath was even heavier. She became a lightning rod, adored by some as the only one brave enough to speak up, vilified by others as a clout chaser capitalizing on her brother's death. Every post she made, no matter how innocent, was flooded with comments demanding the full truth or accusing her of hiding it. And yet, she never fully walked back her words. In a rare live stream months later, she addressed it head-on. "Y'all want me to say what I can't say. I ain't stupid. If you know, you know." The smirk she gave after saying that mirrored the very expression that had made Durk infamous in the courtroom. By now, the streets had split into their own theories. Some believed Durk would beat the case on appeal, walk out, and drop an album that would sell like wildfire purely off the controversy. Others thought he'd never see freedom again, but that his conviction would drag down bigger names. creating a domino effect the industry wasn't ready for. And then came the most chilling twist, a message allegedly sent from Vaughn to a close friend just days before his death surfaced online. The message read, "If anything happens, check the people closest. Don't get blinded by loyalty." It was like tossing a grenade into an already burning room. Fans dissected it, argued over who he meant, and whether it proved Kayla's story or simply added another layer to the mystery. In the middle of all this, a new player entered the scene, a journalist claiming to have uncovered sealed documents that could blow the case open. According to them, the documents detail surveillance logs, meeting records, and transactions linking Durk to events on the night of the shooting, but also implicating figures far more powerful than anyone expected. The journalist teased a full exposé, promising to release it when the time is right. But in the world of fame, crime, and money, the right time can mean never, depending on who's willing to pay to keep it quiet. By the one-year mark of Durk's sentencing, the case felt less like a closed chapter and more like a saga still in motion. The appeal was grinding through the system, the rumors were only getting wilder, and every so often, Kayla would drop a vague post that sent her followers spiraling into speculation. And that smirk? It hadn't gone anywhere. In every rare court appearance, in every leaked image from jail, Durk's expression stayed the same, calm, knowing, like a man who understood the game better than anyone watching from the outside. One thing became clear: in the murky space where rap, power, and street politics collide, the truth is a slippery thing. Facts bend, alliances shift, and justice. Well, justice depends on who's writing the story. And then, just when the noise had started to fade, Kayla posted a single sentence to her story. They think it's over, but it's not. No context. No follow-up. Just a line that reignited the entire conversation. So here we are, a sister's warning, a brother's murder, a courtroom death sentence, and a smirk that refuses to fade. You can call it grief, you can call it defiance, you can call it the face of a man who knows more than he'll ever say out loud. But the question remains, was Lil Durk really at the center of this, or is he just one piece in a much bigger, much darker game? And if he is only one piece, then who's really pulling the strings? Because let's be honest, in the world of rap, street politics, and big money, a guilty verdict isn't always the end. Appeals drag on for years. Evidence gets lost. Witnesses disappear. And the headlines shift while the real moves happen in silence. If you were Kayla B, would you keep talking and risk everything? Or stay quiet and survive? And if you were in Durk's shoes, facing death but holding dangerous secrets, would you let the system decide your fate? Or burn it all down first? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe. This is Spillover, and trust me, the next twist is already on its way.